Ghana construction industry is booming. Both Ghanaians on the continent and also from the diaspora are spending millions of US dollars building their homes and also renovating here in Ghana.
I live in Ghana about 8 months out of a year, and the rest is me traveling around the world and filming content and whatnot. So Ghana is home.
Okay, so I know for a fact that in recent years, probably right when you actually went back to Ghana, a lot of African Americans decided to move to Ghana.
Yes.
I can't remember what the actual
the year of return.
The year of return.
2019, yeah.
And in that time, they were promising a lot of land and different things.
They didn't promise no land.
They didn't promise a land. What was the promise? Why move to Ghana? Tell me why.
No, so Ghana is a peaceful place.
Okay.
Okay, and we bear witness to, something like George Floyd and, police brutality. And I think the government realized that, people say it's a selfish, reason for them to invite because economically it would help us. But it's not only that. Our president then, Nana Akufo-Addo, said something that in China, right, every Chinese that leave to America is still recognized as a Chinese. They think in their mind that they are Chinese and they work in the US, save money and send it back home to China. And that helped the economy greatly. So Chinese became wealthy and they are respected, right, back home. They respect China, and that reflects to its citizens living in the Americas. And the same way, if we want Africa to be respected or Ghana to be respected, we have to be economically strong. And so he's inviting diasporans. Then it was just Ghanaians who are working in the diaspora to come back home, reinvest, everything you've learned in the diaspora, bring it back home or whatnot. And that attracted as well also the African Americans who don't even have any roots, right? And so invite them back to say, you have an option. You don't have to stay in the system. You don't have to go through this police brutality. There's actually a country in Ghana or in Africa that have so much peace, tranquility that would bring you healing, right? So they invited all these people. Now they didn't say land; they'll give you free land. No, they didn't say that. But obviously, buying land in Ghana is way cheaper compared to the US. In Ghana, with $5,000, you can buy a plot of land in Ghana. Now, I don't know how many countries in Africa that offers the same, but these were the incentives. These were the things that the government promised. And somewhere in Asebu, in the western region or central region of Ghana, there's a chief who allocated a land for African Americans, but there's a small price to pay for documentation. So it's not free, really. If you think about how much it is, about $1,000 or $1,200, it's still money. It's not, it's not free. So I wouldn't say they promise you free land. So I hope this explains the.
No, yeah, it does definitely, because we have heard so many different things. There's been some discrepancies about the land and the ownership of the land, and even people from even African Americans purchasing the land, and some fraud here and there.
It happens, so what I would say is in the US, tell me this, what is the standard procedure of acquiring property in the US?
You'd first find the owner.
Right.
Ask the owner, are you willing to sell?
Right.
And we're just talking about land at this point, right? We're not talking about developed land.
No.
Yeah, just find the owner, see if they're willing.
Is a lawyer in the part of the process?
I'm sorry?
Do you get a lawyer to be part of this process?
Some do. At some point in time, you do.
Right.
But first, I would definitely find the owner.
Right.
Look up the records and the address of the property. Find the owner of the land. Approach them and say to them, hey, are you willing to sell the land, and then what price? Now, at that point, if we agree on something, then we would go to a lawyer and have them do some type
contract.
The contract.
Title search?
Actually, the contract would have already been written because we would already have an agreement. Then I would go to the attorney and say, can you do a little title search or what have you on the property, find out who actually owns it, how many people own it, and what have you.
Yeah.
And then we would go to the process of closing and then, registering, giving the money up.
Which is a very refined process.
Yes.
Right? Proper due diligence. In Ghana, we don't have that system where you can just go into a database and search who. The Lands Commission have it, but you can't necessarily do that, right? Okay. So what we do is we leverage. We get lawyers to be the one to go to the Land Commission, check it at the court to see if there's even a lien against the property. There's a lot of processes that you need a lawyer to be able to go through those processes for you. just to vouch that this property you're about to buy is legitimate and they've not sold it 5 times. So what people actually do is they come and they want to avoid the lawyer fees, and they don't want to pay any lawyers. They want to do everything by themselves. And we are not like a proper structured system like the USA is. We are figuring it out, right? So most Americans come and they feel like, oh, it's just a land, I can just pay for it. No, it's like you can't do that. So they paid. People have paid for land, like just you and I. It's like, oh, I have a land. So I'm like, okay, sure, give you the money. That's not how it works, right? So a lot of people were scammed. They later realized that the documents that they even gave them for the land is not the right document. And sometimes you have the documents, it's all right, but the GPS coordinates, right, for the land is somewhere else, right? So it's so people realize that, oh wow, I've been scammed, and that's why. But majority of the time, if you use a lawyer, you will not go through that.
So how is real estate, actual real estate in Ghana? Because the things that you're saying are, it just makes me think, because even when you're buying land, you don't get the whole field. You may only get a quarter of an acre, or you may get an acre or a third of an acre. That all has to be cornered off to say this belongs to you. Like you said, the GPS coordinates have to match.
You have to check.
So when I'm out here looking to buy this land, do I say I want all of that and it's mine?
No. So the owner of the land you're trying to buy from would present you some document to say, okay, this is the documents that state that this portion of the land belongs to me.
Okay.
And so what I have to do is I'll take those documents, or I'll bring my land surveyor and check to see if the coordinates that you've mapped and have documentation saying it's yours is actually yours, right? And when that is verified, there's few other checks. I'll check at the land commission. I'll check at the court to make sure, there's nobody has sued you or there's a lien, all those kind of things.
Right.
And when I'm okay, then I'll just, make the transaction. Sometimes it's 50-50. I pay you 50% of the land, and, I verify everything. I do the paperwork, and when it's done, I give you the rest. That works. I have a friend, a gentleman, Mr. Raj Sasari. He's one of the folks who have figured out how to actually acquire property, land in Ghana, without dealing with this headache with, the land belonging to somebody else. So there's a way. Trust me. If you follow the right path, you can acquire land, property in Ghana without no, problems.
Yeah.
But if you try to cut corners, you'd regret it.
Well, land in Africa, not just in Africa, but land is very important. It's wealth. It's the beginning. And I think, that has caused many wars. Land has caused many wars. So it's very important that you don't just go think you're purchasing something and you're not, or just go taking something that doesn't belong to you.
Right.
Gosh, that's...
So that's Ghana, and Ghana is a beautiful place. I think everybody should visit Ghana.
Yeah.
Every visit first, stay for a couple of weeks. If you don't like it, fine. You've experienced it, you don't like it. But there's a feeling you get when you get to Ghana. It's you can't explain it.
Right.
It does something to you.
Yeah, and then we still, as Americans, we have to keep in mind that it is Ghana, it's Africa. We're not in America.
Exactly.
Some things you cannot compare, and you keep all that in mind. But definitely, so what you were managed to do on your channel, WebnationAfrica, is you have interviewed several people that have purchased land and built homes and actually moved.
Yes.
And this has been over the last 4 years.
Yes.
So tell us, what was your most interesting, or your wow moment, or your, the biggest, or the one that stands out in your head the most as far as the move and the purchase and the bill? Can you give us?
So I've interviewed maybe 300 diasporans in general on the channel or more. I mean, I've done more behind the scenes, because just sitting with someone and having the conversation and picking their brain is all type of interview. I'm researching, trying to find their story and whatnot. I've done a lot of interviews, but the ones that I've done on WebnationAfrica, that stood out to me is few, people. There's a man called Kelvin Daniels.
I think Ghana is going to be one of the top agricultural providers in the world.
Can I ask you a question? Can someone become a millionaire from farming this moringa you're talking about?
20 times over.
20 times over?
Yeah.
So if I farm moringa on 20 acres, in the next 5 years, I will become a multi-millionaire.
In dollars.
In dollars.
And he worked for the government in the US and retired. But he didn't want to just, retire and live in the US. He wanted to retire and live in Ghana. And I don't know, he told me behind camera, so I'll not put his retirement, whatever out there. But he's making a lot, right? And he's like, this money could go way further here in Ghana. So he relocated, living in Ghana, built, a place for himself. I think, built a place for himself and bought a land, about 20 acres of land. I think so. Now it's 46 acres of land. And he decided to go into farming. And farming, specifically moringa. Now, if you come to Ghana, moringa is like is an herb. If you know what that
moringa.
is, it's so healthy, but it's everywhere. We don't even respect it. It's everywhere.
I mean, it gets rid of inflammation, and moringa.
It's the herbs, It's so special, and he saw it everywhere. It's like this is an opportunity, so he used this 46 acres to plant moringa, and he's about to export it. To the wherever market that they need. And he's telling me behind cameras, this I would say, that by next year, if I'm not making $1 million a month, there's a problem. And I'm like, this is someone who have retired. He could have lived in the US with his, retirement money, but decided to embark on an adventure and going into farming business in Ghana. That episode, it was so special. That video has over 300,000 viewers on YouTube. There's also another gentleman called Diallo Sambri. He's the ex-president of the African American Association of Ghana. And he's been in Africa for, I think, 15 years or something like that. Crazy amount, the first time he visited. And I've lived there for at least 7-8 years. And he is bringing people, African Americans, to the continent. I think he's brought over 2,000 people in total. And he is trying to make people feel what it is like to experience Africa. So he came here himself, and it did something to him. And he said in an interview that we did that a prophet gave him a prophecy that if he moved to Africa, everything he's been looking for would he would get it. You embarked on a journey, and now you feel a sense of responsibility to make people feel the same way you felt the first time you touched down the continent. Can we just dive into that bit?
Well, let me say, it's not about making people feel the same way I felt. But it's about helping people discover the way they will feel, which is different, right? So we do a lot of intentional things. We guide you. We help you understand the rules and regulations, but we don't imprint on your mind what your journey should be. We don't say if you should like it or not. We know that it'll change you, and we know that it's really going to be up to you as to how it changes you. So it's not about like, oh, you should feel what I feel. It's really about discovering your own magic, discovering your own connection with Africa. And the best way to do that is to visit.
And so what he felt on a journey coming to Africa, he wants, so to speak, more people to feel the same way and bringing people over. And I think he's doing the Lord's work, because Marcus Garvey back in the days wanted to establish a Black Star Line to bring, African Americans back to the continent, and people like himself and other folks are inviting, African Americans, back home to be like, you can have a way better life on a continent than living in a one studio apartment in New York downtown. And so, he stand out to me greatly. He's one of my favorite interview, so to speak.
So would you say that, because you've met several of us from South Africa and in Ghana, would you say the story for the relocation is somewhat the same? Are you hearing some of the same?
No, it's different. So it's dependent. Everybody moved to Africa for a different reason.
Okay.
Now, we did an interview. You have a different reason why you relocated. Which is unique to your story.
Right.
But on the other hand, we've had several other people who were, so to speak, sometimes running away from something.
Okay.
Right. And they have the right to.
Yeah.
It's option. The earth is so huge. Right.
To be able to.
Right. You cannot just live in the confine of New York till the rest of your life. You can go anywhere you want to on the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And I often wonder, that you would say that in those interviews, why now?
Yeah.
Were you able to pull that spiritual part out to say why now? Because it's a spiritual thing that's happening.
Yeah, it's a revelation.
And that's what I mean.
I had a lady who woke up, I think it's a lady or her husband, one of them, woke up in the middle of the night sweating, because she had a revelation, or he had a revelation, that God told them to move to Africa, and something is going to happen if they don't.
Oh.
So she woke up panicking and almost sweating, catching her breath. And I think the husband asked what happened, and she said, we need to move. And I've had so many people who have that story. And sometimes you think that, they're just saying it because, but it's real.
It actually is real. I'm a living testament to that, because I never thought of living in Africa. I never. So
really?
So what would, because this is a question I get a lot, and about the expenses and the cost to move to South Africa. So the cost to move to Ghana, what would you say would be something
reasonable,
a reasonable cost to maybe come relocate? And let's just be honest, because I don't want to ever. I know you will be honest, but I don't want to ever set someone up and say, everything's so
it's cheap. No. So breaking news: Ghana is a bit expensive.
I've been hearing that. I'm thinking I heard that the other day, and I was like, did they say $2,000?
Ghana is a bit expensive. So and no shade to Ghana. I think we have a long way to go in regulation in terms of our real estate market. Because I'm here in Cape Town, and I went somewhere in the suburbs, huge, it's like Hollywood. And I was looking at some properties. Actually, a friend of mine's house that she's living in, and she's paying $2,500 USD, 3-bedroom house or 4, some huge with swimming pool and everything. I'm like, $2,500 in Ghana?
Oh,
you get a 2-bedroom house, renting in cantonment. So Ghana can be very expensive. So advising people that, okay, if you want to move, how much money do you need? I would tell you, if you really want to be comfortable, right? Yearly, you spend nothing less than $50,000, $200,000. If you really want to be comfortable, you want to go outside, eat at this, Japanese restaurant. You want to live, be comfortable. You can spend a lot of money. I mean, I'm not an African American, and I was checking my expenses, and I spend a lot.
Yeah.
$50K a year. But I travel, make videos. So that's but if you want to be comfortable, you want to travel to other African countries. You want to live, yeah.
Across the Atlantic, you want to live. You want to move around. You don't want to do the same things.
No.
When we started a year of return, and we started our first December in GH, the prices of goods in December more than quadrupled, because people thought, hey, this is a year of return, we have an opportunity, let's milk it. It happens everywhere. When you go to the Olympic Games, prices of everything goes up. Yeah. But then we had to meet with people at the art center, with the tour operators, with hotels, to explain to them that we are in this for the long term, that this is not just an open window for you to cash in. So it's something that we are building, but it's not going to take a day. The cultures are different, so let's try and work ourselves to integrate. And so when I talk about cultural integration, it's also looking at how do we make sure that people understand what we are doing, and they are not taking advantage of our brothers and sisters who are coming back.
Well, what about employment?
So I want to advise a diasporan to move to Ghana to search for a job.
You would not?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you to move to Ghana and create a job, right? Or identify an opportunity and tap into that, opportunity. It could be problem solving. Like this gentleman that I mentioned, Mr. Rasha Sari, he's an accountant in KPMG in the US doing accounting. He relocated to Ghana, realized that it's very hard acquiring a property, because he bought a land, I think a plot of land for $100,000, and he was sued. Someone claimed the land belongs to him, right? And then he spent 2 years in court. Now imagine your $100,000 stuck. You know what I'm saying, in a property, and you have to fight a battle in the court. So he made it's his responsibility to make sure nobody goes through that. So he solved the problem of land litigation, where he has his whole system that makes sure people get legitimate land. That can be you. That can be you coming and figure out what problems on ground and you solving it. And because you're solving that problem, it comes, the money comes to you and whatnot. That's what I would recommend people to do. If you're an African American or a diaspora in general, come solve a problem and create a job rather than come here and look for a job. You could find a job, but they will not pay you the same amount you were getting paid in the US. If you're getting paid $5,000 in a month, you could get paid about $500 or $1,000. Now, people prefer that because it's more peaceful in Ghana, and that money could go a little bit further than it could in the US, so sometimes it's not that bad. But you will not live like the local world. You want to still live like an that would
Middle
cost
class,
you.
upper class, yeah.
Right. So that,
Wow.
no, but trust me, it's worth it if you embark on a journey. It's worth it. You just have to have enough information about where you're going to live. And most of the time, I would advise you come, be on ground first, come visit, spend about a month. Don't come during festive season. Come when there's no festivals. And, the real Ghana is on. Come, study the people. See how it is like to live there. Immerse yourself into the local community.
Okay.
Then you can get to understand the country better.
Okay, so what would you say would be more likely, the age range of people? Is it 40 and up, or is it somewhere between 20 and...
We have all varieties of ages coming, but
Really?
we have more pensioners coming to Ghana as well. I'm seeing young folks coming as well these days, but it's not as much compared to, people retiring.
group, yeah.
Because Ghana is peaceful. When you say Ghana, people think about peace. So people want to come and retire in that peace, tranquility. I mean, I've met someone who said Ghana is like Wakanda, and she.
Well, how would we...
I don't know how.
Okay.
No, she said that. Traveling tea. She's like, oh, Ghana is Wakanda, yo. I'm telling you guys. So there's something that people feel, or African Americans feel, when they come to Ghana, and so they retire and stay in Ghana, and they want to feel that, And to each to their own. They have a saying like that. So
Right. So we must visit, because we definitely are finding peace here in South Africa. But
it's beautiful here. I'm like, oh wow, and it's affordable. It's not cheap
are you thinking about...
compared to Ghana.
Are you thinking about relocating again?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about the different base.
Definitely.
I can see myself living here temporarily, maybe 2 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Because there's so much content here that I can film for my, the channel. People are asking, do you have more days? I'm like, no, I'm leaving. But then there's so many other people that I could interview, right? So I spent 21 days on this trip. I could come here and spend 2 months.
Yeah.
And so live here, 2 months out of the
definitely.
year. So I'm thinking about that, but let's see.